Welcome to Cosmic Sleep Science, where the stars hum secrets and the earth whispers tales older than time. Close your eyes, let your thoughts drift, and imagine a question that stirs the soul. What if we, humanity, with our cities and dreams, are not the first to call this planet home? What if another civilization, wise and alive, rose and fell long before our story began? Not beings from distant stars, nor myths of sunken lands like Atlantis, but a civilization born of Earth's own biology, thinking, building, thriving, then fading into the shadows of deep time. Could such a thing be possible? Could the Earth hide their story, buried beneath layers of stone and silence? Tonight, we embark on a journey not to answer with certainty, but to wander through the vastness of time. Let's explore together, with open hearts and curious minds, the possibility that we are not the first. Where are you right now? Dear listener, perhaps you're curled up under a blanket, stars blinking outside your window, or maybe you're halfway across the globe, watching dawn paint the sky. Share your place and time in the comments below. Let's weave a tapestry of voices from every corner of the world. If this journey sparks something in you, tap that like button, or join our Cosmic Sleep Science family by subscribing. It's your support that keeps these stories alive. Now, settle in, breathe deeply, let the weight of the day slip away. This is not a lecture, but a dreamlike voyage, a slow dance through the ages. Picture the Earth not as it is, but as it was millions, even billions of years ago, its surface shifting, its secrets buried. Are you ready to step into the unknown? Time, as we know it, is but a fleeting breath. Our history, the tale of humanity, spans a mere 0 years, a flicker in the grand saga of Earth's 5 billion years. Imagine the planet as a vast, restless artist, painting and repainting its canvas with fire, ice, and wind. Mountains rise, then crumble. Oceans swallow land, then retreat. Erosion grinds stone to dust, while tectonic plates churn the past into the planet's molten heart. If a civilization thrived 1 million years ago, what traces would remain? Concrete crumbles, steel rusts, glass turns to sand, even bones, the stubborn relics of life, dissolve under the weight of eons. The Earth is not a museum, preserving every moment, but a living, breathing world that erases as it creates. Could a society as advanced as ours leave marks so faint we'd never notice? What tools would we need to find them? Let's ponder the fragility of existence, the whispers of a world that might have been, lost in the endless churn of time. To grasp the possibility of another civilization, we must first surrender to the scale of Earth's story. Our 0 years of history, our pyramids, our cities, are but a single note in a symphony that began 5 billion years ago. Long before humans, before mammals, before even the first creatures crawled onto land, the Earth was alive with change. For billions of years, it was a world of oceans and fire, of microbes dancing in primordial seas. No eyes gazed at the stars, no hands shaped stone into tools. The rocks we walk on today hold secrets of those ancient days, but they are not storytellers eager to share. Most of what once was is gone, worn away by wind, washed away by rain, or buried deep beneath layers of new earth. Wood rots, metal corrodes, and even the hardest stone yields to time's patient touch. If a civilization rose and fell in this vast expanse, their cities might now be dust, their tools scattered fragments, their bones lost to the earth's endless recycling. Could we ever find them? Or has the planet's pulse erased their echo forever? The earth is a restless sculptor, reshaping itself without pause. Erosion carves away cliffs, turning proud stone into silt that rivers carry to the sea. Sediments pile high, layer upon layer, burying the past beneath new earth. Tectonic plates, those vast rafts of rock, drift and collide, birthing mountains only to grind them down again. Subduction, the slow plunge of one plate beneath another, drags entire landscapes into the planet's fiery core, melting them into oblivion. Oceans open wide, then close, swallowing continents in their dance. A city, no matter how grand, would be crushed, scattered, or submerged over millions of years. A tool of metal, sharp and gleaming, would rust to nothing, its atoms scattered by wind and water. Even fossils, those rare snapshots of life, are exceptions in a world where decay is the rule. After 1,000,000 years, a civilization's mark might be reduced to faint chemical traces, anomalies in rock we'd need the keenest tools to detect. The earth does not preserve. It transforms, relentless in its cycles. What chance? Then, do we have of finding a culture lost to such forces? Now, let's dream a little deeper. Let's step into a thought experiment. Picture a civilization vibrant and intelligent, thriving 100 million years ago. Perhaps they walked on land, their cities sprawling under alien skies. Or maybe they swam in ancient oceans, crafting structures from coral and stone. Their minds burned bright. Their tools shaped the world. Their stories echoed in songs we'll never hear. But could we find them now? A city of stone, no matter how vast, would be ground to dust by the earth's unyielding churn. Metal tools would dissolve, their edges softened by rust and time. Even their grandest monuments, towering like our skyscrapers, would crumble under the weight of millions of years. Our own cities, our satellites, our bridges would fare no better. Concrete erodes, steel corrodes, and satellites burn up or drift into the void. After 100 million years, what remains might be nothing more than a strange layer in the rock, a whisper of carbon or metal, a puzzle we might overlook. Their culture, their art, their dreams would vanish like mist, leaving only questions. Could we recognize their shadow in the stones, or would we walk past, blind to their existence? If a civilization rose and fell in this vast expanse, their cities might now be dust, their tools scattered fragments, their bones lost to the earth's endless recycling. Could we ever find them? Or has the planet's pulse erased their echo forever? A fossil is not a promise. It is a rare gift. For most of life, the earth is a river that washes everything away. But sometimes, under the right sky and soil, a creature falls into stillness, buried quickly in sand or silt, hidden from scavengers, sealed from decay. Over ages, the minerals seep in, the flesh turns to stone, and the fragile moment of living is transformed into a trace that can last for millions of years. But the conditions must be almost perfect, as if the universe pauses for a breath to allow memory to harden. This perfection is uncommon. The shells of ocean dwellers are more likely to remain than the soft wings of insects. Bones in dry caves have a chance. But bones scattered on open plains dissolve. Most of what has lived leaves nothing behind, only the faintest chemical echoes or impressions in mud that later vanish with the rain. A fossil is not the rule, but the exception, a whisper caught before silence fell. Because the conditions are so rare, the fossil record is less a book and more a handful of torn pages. To search it for proof of civilizations long gone is to search not only for needles in haystacks, but for shadows of needles that may never have formed. It reminds us that what we see of the past is only a small fraction, and that memory, when written in stone, is as fragile as breath. If we walked backward through time, we would meet forests no longer standing, seas alive with creatures that no longer swim, skies once filled with wings that never touched the eyes of humans. And yet, from all these lives, from billions upon billions of beings, only a few remain in stone. The rest are gone without a trace, dissolved back into the soil, scattered into air and water, as if they had never been. The truth is humbling. Entire lineages have vanished without leaving even a bone. Entire ecosystems dissolved as if erased. The soft-bodied creatures of the ancient seas, the countless insects of vanished forests, the fleeting flowers of early springs all passed away, unnoticed by time, unrecorded by stone. What we call the fossil record is not a true history, but a broken mirror reflecting only fragments. If life itself is so easily lost, then what of civilization? If whole forests can vanish without memory, then cities of wood, villages of clay, even fragile tools of bone and fiber could dissolve just as completely. We live surrounded by the illusion of permanence, but the earth is a patient eraser. To remember this is to see our search for ancient civilizations with different eyes, to realize how much may have existed and how little might remain. Stone is stubborn. Metal endures longer than flesh, longer than bone. But wood softens, clay crumbles, fabric melts into soil. If a civilization were to rise and fall without carving monuments into rock, without shaping metal in abundance, then time would sweep away almost every sign of it. Villages of bamboo, cities of timber, networks of rope and fiber would vanish in a fraction of the ages that follow. Even great structures, if built of perishable materials, would become forests again, or plains, or dust carried by the wind. Consider how easily our own world could fade. Skyscrapers fall without care. Roads crack and vanish under vines. Bridges rust and tumble into rivers. In 10,000 years, nature could erase most of what we build. In 1,000,000 years, the traces would be nearly gone. Without stone or metal to speak for us, we too would dissolve into silence, remembered only in faint imprints buried deep where few would think to look. This is the challenge in searching for ancient civilizations. We look for durable remains, but durability is rare. Unless they carved mountains or left behind vast quarries, their voices could already be lost. To imagine them is to imagine cultures built on fragile matter, beautiful but fleeting, erased like writing on sand after the tide has come. What we call prehistory is not a full story, but a scattered collection of fragments. Imagine a vast library where almost every book has burned, and only a few charred pages remain. That is the fossil record, and that is the record of human culture as well. From millions of years of life, only a thin thread survives. Thin enough that whole worlds have vanished from memory. The dinosaurs lived for more than 150 million years. and yet we know them only from rare bones and impressions. The first flowering plants change the face of the earth, yet their arrival is traced by fragments of pollen. Even our own species, spread across continents, has left behind only shards, tools, bones, paintings flickering on cave walls. The survival of evidence is the exception, not the rule. So when we search for traces of civilizations before us, we must remember this scale. Only a fraction survives. Only a fraction of that is found. Only a fraction of that is recognized. The past is not lost because it never was, but because the earth does not keep careful records. It offers glimpses, not guarantees. To seek the story of forgotten civilizations is to accept that we are searching among ashes, where even the faintest spark is precious. In 2018, two scientists, Gavin Schmidt and Adam Frank, published a paper that has since stirred both science and imagination. They called it the Silurian hypothesis, after an old idea from fiction that intelligent reptiles once ruled the earth before humans appeared. The paper was not claiming proof, but asking a question. If an industrial civilization had risen millions of years ago, how would we know? The thought was not fantasy, but a careful exploration. The Earth changes so quickly on geological scales that even vast human cities might leave little trace in millions of years. So Schmidt and Frank asked, what would remain? Not the skyscrapers, not the highways, but perhaps chemical signatures in soil and rock. They invited us to step outside of human time and consider civilization as just one of many possible layers, now hidden beneath the Earth's shifting skin. The paper spread widely, not because it claimed evidence, but because it asked the kind of question that reawakens wonder. It made us see our world differently, to imagine how fragile our own imprint might be, to realize that we too could be forgotten. And in that realization, we found humility and perhaps a deeper curiosity for the vastness of history. If we stood in a future millions of years ahead, what would tell us that humanity had once been? Our cities would be dust, our machines corroded into soil, our bones scattered and crushed. The evidence would be faint, but not gone. In the rocks, there might be sudden shifts in carbon. In sediments, there might be traces of plastics. In mineral veins, the fingerprints of mining. This was the question Schmidt and Frank raised. How can we recognize the shadow of industry if it is buried under layers of time? What does civilization look like when all its buildings are gone? The question leads us to think of signatures, not objects. A city may vanish, but the changes it brings to climate, to soil, to oceans may linger far longer. Civilization may leave behind not monuments, but chemistry. To ask this is to see our own world as fragile. It is to realize that the marks we make may outlast us, but not in the form we imagine. It humbles us, reminding us that if there were others before, we might not know them by sight, but by the quiet scars they left on the Earth's memory. The scientists suggested that if an earlier civilization had burned fuel as we do, there would be changes in the balance of carbon isotopes, preserved in rock long after all else was gone. Coal and oil leave chemical fingerprints, a shift that cannot easily be erased. Just as our own fossil fuels mark the present, so too could ancient industries have marked their time. In the layers of Earth, such fingerprints would glow faintly, like echoes of vanished fire. Beyond carbon, there are stranger traces. Plastics, though fragile in the open air, can survive when buried. Transformed but still recognizable as unnatural, even if no bottle or bag remained. The molecules could persist, strange chains unlike anything born of nature. Fertilizers, too, could leave signatures. Spikes of nitrogen in soil, a reminder of how life was reshaped by the hand of intelligence. Metals tell another story. Rare elements pulled from the earth do not vanish. They disperse, but their concentrations may linger in unusual places. A layer rich in aluminum, copper, or rare earths could hint at hands that once sought to build. These chemical signs are subtle, but they are the true fossils of civilization, shadows of invention written not in stone but in the periodic table. If we search for lost civilizations, it is not statues or ruins we should expect, but anomalies in chemistry, quiet disturbances in the balance of nature. The earth records not only bones and shells, but the breath of fire, the smoke of industry, the strange molecules of invention. To find such traces would be to touch the ghost of a people who lived and vanished long before us. Yet here lies the challenge. For the earth itself produces upheavals that mimic civilization. Volcanic eruptions flood the air with carbon. Wildfires sweep continents. Methane leaks from the sea floor. Asteroids strike and scatter dust across the globe. Each of these leaves a chemical scar. Each of these could look, in the far future, like the shadow of an industry. To separate nature from civilization is like listening for a human voice in a storm. Scientists must ask, is a spike in carbon the trace of coal burning or of fire sweeping ancient forests? Is a layer of metal dust from industry or from a meteor's fiery death? Even plastics could have analogs in rare natural polymers, and nitrogen spikes may come from massive blooms of life and death in oceans. Every sign we search for has a double, a natural twin that can mislead. This difficulty does not make the search useless. It makes it profound, for it reminds us that we must approach with humility, aware that certainty is rare. It shows us that the line between human and natural is thinner than we imagine, that our works are not separate from the earth but woven into it. The challenge is not to find simple answers, but to learn how to listen carefully, to hear the faintest distinctions, and to accept that some questions may remain unanswered. If the future were to dig into our present, they would find a strange layer, unlike any before. Mixed into the soil would be fragments of plastic, colored shards that once wrapped food or carried water, now pressed into sediments as bright fossils of consumption. They would find concrete, not the stone of mountains, but the stone of mines, poured and shaped into endless walls and roads. They would find sudden spikes of nitrogen in the soil, traces of fertilizers that changed the cycles of growth. And they would find carbon, heavy with the memory of fire, a signature written in the air and ocean alike. This is the Anthropocene, the age in which humanity has become a geological force. Our fingerprints are not only visible, they are everywhere. The oceans carry microplastics. The rivers carry chemicals. The rocks carry the ash of our burning. If someone were to look millions of years from now, they would see this strangeness, a layer that does not match the quiet rhythms of Earth. It would mark us as clearly as a line of ash marks the fall of a meteor. We may think of ourselves as fragile, but in this sense we are powerful, capable of shaping the planet in ways that endure beyond our lives. Whether this is blessing or burden is not for the earth to decide. The record will hold what it holds, and the story will be told by what remains. Yet permanence is not ours. Plastics fragment and transform, concrete weathers and crumbles, metals rust and scatter. Even our strongest traces will not endure forever. In thousands of years they will fade. In millions they may vanish entirely. ground down by the endless patience of water and stone. What feels eternal to us is only a flicker in geological time. The Anthropocene layer is striking, but will it survive long enough to be found? Perhaps fragments will remain, buried deep, preserved in quiet corners of the earth. Perhaps a thin chemical band will still mark our passing. But the cities themselves, the roads, the towers, the lights, all will dissolve. The earth is kind in her forgetting and relentless. This awareness humbles us. It tells us that even a civilization as vast as ours may one day be reduced to a whisper, a faint shadow in stone. And if this is true for us, it could be true for others before us. Their traces may have been as fragile, their monuments as perishable, their signs as fleeting. We search the earth for echoes, but time is a tireless hand that smooths every surface, erases every word. So we circle back to the question, if another civilization had walked here long ago, what would remain? Not their voices, not their houses, not their names, but perhaps the chemical echoes, the subtle scars, the quiet fingerprints on the balance of earth and sky, just as our plastics and carbon will one day be whispers in stone. So too might theirs have been. It is possible we walk above their ashes without knowing, that their traces blend with the natural rhythms we mistake for ordinary. It is possible that their legacy, like ours, is not in monuments but in chemistry, not in stone statues but in the molecules of soil and sea. To think this way is not to prove their existence, but to allow it, to open the door of imagination just wide enough to let the idea through. And perhaps that is the truest gift, not certainty, but possibility, not proof, but wonder. For in searching for them, we also see ourselves more clearly, fragile and fleeting, yet capable of leaving behind marks that ripple through deep time. Whether others came before or not, the earth remembers in her own language, and we are learning how to listen. What does it mean to be a civilization, a fleeting flame in the vast night of time? Scholars of ancient dust, those who sift through the bones of the past, paint a picture with familiar strokes. A civilization, they say, is a gathering of souls in bustling urban centers, where stone and clay rise into homes and halls. It is the rhythm of specialized labor, where farmers till the soil, artisans shape beauty, and scribes etch thoughts into eternity. It is the gift of surplus harvests, freeing minds to dream beyond the hunt for food, and the magic of written words, binding generations across the ages. Yet, must a civilization wear these garments to be real? Could a society pulse with life, rich with meaning, yet leave no stone towers, no clay tablets, no fields of golden grain? Imagine a people whose cities were not of rock, but of woven reeds, whose stories lived in song, not script. Consider Çatalhöyük, a settlement in ancient Turkey, 9,000 years old, where homes nestled close, their walls adorned with vivid murals, their lives woven into rituals without streets or writing. This was no mere village, but a tapestry of complexity, a society that defies our rigid molds. A civilization might build with perishable things, wood that rots, fibers that fade, tools that crumble under time's gentle touch. If such a people thrived millions of years ago, their traces might be as fleeting as a desert breeze, their legacy a whisper lost in the earth's ceaseless churn. What if their intelligence bloomed in ways we cannot fathom? Their culture a dance of actions, not objects. To seek them, We must redefine civilization, not as a mirror of ourselves, but as any spark of collective genius that shaped the world. Our assumptions, so rooted in stone and metal, might blind us to subtler signs, to societies that lived lightly, leaving only shadows. Picture a world where minds gathered, planned, created, yet left no mark we recognize. Could we find them? Hidden in the folds of time, the earth, vast and secretive, holds their story, but only if we learn to see beyond our own reflection, to embrace the possibility of civilizations unlike any we know. Imagine a civilization that never knew the cold gleam of metal, whose hands shaped only the warm, living gifts of the earth. Wood, supple and strong, might have been their stone, carved into shelters that swayed with the wind's soft breath. Fibers from plants, twisted into ropes or woven into intricate tapestries, could have been their art, their technology, their legacy. These materials, vibrant in their time, decay swiftly, dissolving into the soil, leaving no echo for us to grasp. A hammer of bone, a net of vine, a home of reeds, all would vanish under the weight of years, their forms softened by rain, scattered by wind, consumed by the earth's patient hunger. Yet, intelligence need not mirror ours, need not speak in words or build in stone. It might pulse in other ways, through chemical signals drifting in ancient seas, through behaviors woven into the fabric of their world. Picture beings, perhaps aquatic, perhaps insect-like, crafting structures from coral or shell, their cities alive with purpose yet invisible to our eyes. Consider the termite mounds, towering and precise, engineered with a genius that rivals our own, yet dismissed as nature's whim. A civilization might have sung its story in patterns we mistake for instinct, their tools ephemeral, their culture a symphony of actions rather than objects. If their minds burned bright without forging metal, without carving stone, their traces might be as faint as a ripple on a forgotten shore. What if their intelligence was chemical, a dance of molecules we'd never suspect? Or behavioral, a choreography of cooperation that left no fossil? The earth, in its endless reshaping, would erase their works, grinding wood to dust, dissolving fibers into nothingness. To find such a people, we must shed our bias for permanence, our love of enduring things. We must look for the subtle, the transient, the signs of minds that thrived in ways alien to us. A civilization without metal might have been as brilliant as ours, yet its legacy could be a ghost, a shadow we walk past, mistaking it for the earth's own hand. The challenge is to see beyond our expectations, to imagine intelligence that does not echo our own, to seek the invisible in a world that buries its secrets deep. To hunt for a lost civilization, we must look beyond crumbled walls, beyond the bones of cities or the rust of tools. The earth's deep record is a canvas of whispers, where patterns, not ruins, hold the key. A civilization, even one that flickered briefly in the vastness of time, might leave a ghost in the stone, a subtle shift in the earth's ancient chemistry. Imagine a layer of sediment, inexplicably rich with rare minerals, or a spike in carbon isotopes, hinting at fires long extinguished. Greenhouse gases, trapped in bubbles of ancient ice, might speak of industry, while synthetic molecules, unknown to nature, could linger in forgotten strata. These are the footprints we seek, anomalies that disrupt the earth's steady rhythm, Yet, the task is daunting. For nature, too, it is a master of disguise. Volcanoes belch carbon. Meteorites scatter metals. Oceans churn sediments in patterns that mimic intent. A sudden bloom of nitrogen, a trace of heavy isotopes, might whisper of a civilization's touch, but could just as easily be the Earth's own sigh. The Silurian hypothesis, born from the minds of Schmidt and Frank, urges us to seek these signs, to scan the rock for clues of minds long gone. A civilization that burned brightly for centuries, not millennia, might still leave a mark, a chemical scar in the geological record. But how do we distinguish the hand of intelligence from the chaos of nature? A city's debris, ground to dust, might appear as a natural layer of silt. A tool's remnants, scattered by time, could blend with the scatter of a meteor's fall. The search demands new eyes, tools honed to detect the faintest ripples in the stone. We must look for patterns, for repetitions that defy chance, for anomalies that hint at purpose. A sudden shift in sediment, a cluster of rare elements, a trace of compounds forged by minds. These could be the echoes we seek. Yet, the Earth is vast, its layers deep, its processes relentless. To find a civilization, we must learn to read the planet's subtle language, to see the unnatural in the natural, to hear the whisper of intent in a world that sings of chaos. The challenge is not just to find, but to recognize, to know a civilization's mark when it lies before us, faint and fragile, in the endless scroll of time. The Earth is a restless artist, forever reshaping its canvas with strokes of wind, rain, and time, weathering. That patient sculptor wears down all that stands exposed. Rain falls in ceaseless drops, dissolving stone, softening edges, turning proud structures to dust. Wind, whispering across plains, carries away fragments of what was, scattering them into oblivion. Heat and cold, in their endless cycle, crack open rock, splitting what once was whole. A city, no matter how grand, would crumble under this gentle, relentless assault. Its towers, once reaching for the sky, would erode into grains, carried off by rivers to distant seas. Sedimentation, the Earth's quiet burial, might seem a savior, cloaking relics in layers of silt and sand. Yet, this act of preservation is also destruction. Sediments pile heavy, pressing down, crushing delicate forms beneath their weight. Minerals seep in, transforming what they touch, turning bone to stone, wood to nothing. A tool, a statue, a home, all might be buried, only to be ground into fragments or reshaped beyond recognition. After 1,000,000 years, a sprawling city could be reduced to a faint smear in limestone, a whisper in the rock that speaks no clear tale. Imagine concrete dissolving, steel rusting to flakes, glass melting back into sand. The Earth does not pause to mourn what it erases. It simply moves on, layering new stories over old. A civilization's mark, once bold, might fade to a shadow, a subtle shift in sediment that only the keenest eye could spot. Even the mightiest works, built to defy time, would bow to the slow grind of weathering, their forms lost in the embrace of sediment. What chance, then, do we have of finding a culture that built with less enduring things, with wood or fiber, materials that vanish in mere centuries? The Earth's surface is a palimpsest, rewritten endlessly, its oldest tales blurred beyond reading. To seek a lost civilization, we must look for these faint traces, these ghosts in the stone, knowing that time and tide spare nothing. The Earth is alive, its crust a mosaic of shifting plates, dancing a slow, eternal waltz. Tectonic forces shape the world, raising mountains, opening oceans, and swallowing the past into the planet's fiery heart. Subduction, that relentless plunge, drags ocean floors beneath continents, pulling entire landscapes into the mantle's molten embrace. The ocean's bedrock, younger than it seems, rarely exceeds 200 million years. Its older layers lost to this churning abyss, a civilization near ancient shores. Its cities perched on coastal plains would be swept away, melted into the Earth's core, leaving no trace. On land, the story is no kinder. Continents drift, collide, buckle into ranges that rise like giants, only to be worn down by time. Erosion carves away their flanks, while rivers drape new sediments over ancient scars. Forests spread, deserts creep, and floods bury what remains under layers of mud. A city, once vibrant, might lie hidden beneath a jungle's roots or a desert's sands, its stones scattered, its metals dissolved. Tectonic plates, in their ceaseless march, grind away evidence, folding it into the Earth's depths or thrusting it skyward to be weathered anew. Imagine a civilization's great works, its temples and forges, caught in this dance. Their foundations might be crushed between colliding plates, their tools lost in the uplift of mountains, their stories erased by the patient scrape of glaciers. Even the hardest stone yields to time, cracked by quakes, worn by wind, buried by the Earth's restless surface. If a society thrived on a coast now submerged, its relics might be gone forever, melted in the mantle's fire. The continents themselves are not eternal, their surfaces reshaped, their edges redefined. To find a civilization lost to such forces, we must search for what endures. Perhaps a chemical echo, a faint anomaly in the rock. The Earth's tectonic pulse is a destroyer of memory, yet it is also a keeper of secrets, hiding clues in layers we have yet to read. The challenge is to find those whispers, to see past the chaos of creation and destruction, to glimpse a world that time has tried to forget. The Earth's ancient records are riddled with gaps, its stories fragmented by time. Even the scars of cataclysms, like the massive crater of a meteor strike, fade after millions of years, their edges softened, their outlines blurred. If the mark of a star's fall is so hard to trace, what hope do we have of finding a city's ruins, a tool's remnants, or the faint echo of a civilization's life? Structures of stone or metal, so solid in their day, would crumble under the weight of eons, ground to dust or buried beneath layers of new earth. Only the rarest conditions, a swift burial in stable sediment, a sealing in volcanic ash, might preserve a fragment. Yet, even then, the relics might be too small, too altered. To speak of intelligence, a shard of worked stone, a trace of forged alloy, could be mistaken for nature's handiwork, dismissed as a quirk of geology. Our searches, guided by habit, often focus on bones, on the fossilized remains of creatures or plants, seeking ecosystems, not minds. Archaeologists sift for signs of life, not thought, their tools tuned to find teeth or shells. Not the crafted works of a lost people, a civilization's relics, if they survive, might lie unnoticed, misread as natural debris. Imagine a city's foundation, now a faint layer in the rock, or a tool, its edges worn, blended into a river's gravel. Excavations rarely probe for intelligence in deep time, their gaze fixed on the familiar patterns of ancient life. The challenge is not just preservation, but recognition, knowing a relic when we see it. A civilization's mark might be a subtle shift in sediment, a chemical anomaly, a pattern that defies nature's chaos. Yet, without intent to seek such signs, we might pass them by, blind to their meaning. The earth hides its secrets well, and our tools, our methods, are not yet trained to hear the whispers of a culture lost to millions of years. To find them, we must shift our perspective, look beyond the bones, and seek the faint, fragile traces of minds that once shaped the world. The fossil record is a fragile whisper, a mere sliver of life's vast saga preserved in stone. Most creatures, from delicate insects to mighty beasts, vanish without trace, their forms softened by decay, scattered by wind, or ground to dust by the earth's restless churn. Fossilization is a rare alchemy, demanding swift burial in sediment, where minerals seep in, turning flesh to stone under perfect conditions. Yet, even then, the odds are cruel. Forests teem with life, seas swarm with swimmers, yet leave no mark, their stories erased by time's patient hand. A civilization, vibrant with thought, might leave no bones, no shells, no imprint in the rock. Their bodies, their creations, could dissolve into nothingness, lost to the earth's ceaseless recycling. The fossil record is not a faithful scribe, but a selective artist, capturing only moments, not the whole. To seek a lost people, we must look beyond these brittle relics, beyond the bones of ancient life, to signs less obvious, less expected. The silence of the fossil record is not proof of absence, but a challenge to our imagination, a call to search deeper, to see the unseen in the vast canvas of time. Tools and structures, the crafted works of minds, are no match for time's relentless tide. Wood, shaped into homes or handles, rots under rain's gentle touch, its fibers crumbling into soil. Cloth, woven with care, frays and fades, reclaimed by the earth's hungry embrace. Metal, forged in fire, rusts to flakes, its gleam lost to the ages. Even stone, so solid in its day, cracks under frost's bite, erodes in wind's whisper, or sinks beneath sediment's weight. A city's walls, a temple's spires, might stand for centuries, only to crumble, their forms blurred by nature's ceaseless recycling. Sediments bury relics, but also crush them, transforming their shapes into something unrecognizable. A hammer, a statue, a home, all might vanish, leaving only faint smears in the rock, a shadow of their former glory. The earth does not preserve, it reclaims, grinding the past into dust, dissolving it in rivers' flow. To find a civilization, we must seek what endures beyond the physical, beyond the tangible works of hands. The earth's surface is a palimpsest, rewritten endlessly, its oldest tales faded, its secrets buried deep, waiting for us to learn their language. Picture a civilization, alive with thought, yet leaving no clear fossils to mark its time. Perhaps they built with organic things, wood and vine, materials that decay in decades, swallowed by the earth's soft soil. Their tools, crafted from bone or shell, might crumble under time's gentle press. Their homes woven from reeds, erased by rain's caress. Even their bodies, if not buried in rare, perfect conditions, would vanish, leaving no trace in stone. Intelligence might have bloomed in ways we cannot fathom, through songs unsung, rituals unseen, actions that left no durable mark. Aquatic beings, shaping coral into cities, or insect-like minds, crafting hives of intricate design, could thrive and fade without a single fossil. Their culture, vibrant yet ephemeral, might be invisible, a whisper lost to time's vast sea. The earth, in its relentless churn, erases such traces, grinding them into nothingness. To find them, we must imagine a society that speaks not in bones or stone, but in subtler echoes, in patterns we have yet to read, in stories buried deep in the silence of the rock. If fossils fail us, a civilization's mark might lie in the Earth's chemistry, not its biology. A society that burned fuels could shift the air's ancient breath, leaving carbon traces in ice or stone. Synthetic compounds, born of mines, might linger in sediments, molecules unknown to nature's hand. Metals, forged in forgotten fires, could scatter in strange concentrations, a riddle in the rock. These non-biological traces, enduring where bones and shells cannot, might whisper of a lost world. A layer of altered stone, a spike in unnatural elements, could tell their tale. Surviving the Earth's relentless churn, picture a civilization's industry etched in the planet's deep archive, a chemical ghost that defies decay. To seek them, we must broaden our gaze, looking not for skeletons, but for anomalies, for signs of intent in the stone. The earth, vast and secretive, might hold these clues, waiting for us to find them, to hear the story they tell, to recognize the hand of a mind in the chaos of geology's endless dance. A civilization's breath might linger in the Earth's ancient air, marked by the carbon it released, burning fuels. As we do, shifts carbon isotopes, leaving a subtle scar in rock or ice. These isotopes, like fingerprints, tell a tale of industry, of fires that warmed homes or powered machines. A spike in lighter carbon, trapped in ancient sediments, might whisper of a people who changed the world. Such a signal could endure millions of years, a faint echo of a society's peak. Yet, nature, too, plays with carbon, volcanoes spewing it in great belches, oceans stirring it in their depths. To find a civilization's mark, we must seek patterns, shifts that align with purpose, not chance. A consistent isotopic anomaly, repeated across layers, could be their voice, a clue buried in the Earth's deep record. The challenge is to distinguish their hand from nature's chaos, to read the stone with care, to find the story of a world that burned brightly, hidden in the planet's ancient breath. Synthetic materials, crafted by minds, might outlast time's decay, their forms alien to nature. Plastics, now choking our oceans, could linger in sediments, their molecules enduring for millennia. A civilization millions of years ago, shaping such compounds, might leave a similar mark, a layer of unnatural polymers in ancient rock. These traces, resilient against erosion, could survive where wood and bone dissolve. Their presence a testament to innovation. Picture a thin band of synthetics, flecked in stone, a puzzle for future eyes. Yet, their signal is subtle, easily missed without tools tuned to the unnatural. A civilization's legacy might be a chemical ghost, a whisper of craft buried in the Earth's deep archive. To find it, we must seek the alien in the familiar, scanning sediments for molecules that defy nature's design. The Earth holds these secrets, faint but enduring, waiting for us to uncover them. To see the hand of a mind in the chaos of geology's endless churn. Metals, forged in the fires of industry, might endure as clues in the Earth's vast record. Rare elements, concentrated in unnatural ways, could mark a civilization's touch. Alloys, blended with intent, might scatter in sediments, their presence a riddle in stone, gold, platinum, or other enduring metals. Clustered oddly, could whisper of forgotten forges, of tools and structures long dissolved. These anomalies, though faint, might survive the Earth's relentless churn, preserved in layers of rock or deep-sea mud. Yet, nature scatters metals too, through volcanic bursts or cosmic impacts, mimicking the work of minds. To find a civilization, we must seek patterns, concentrations that defy chance, repeated across strata. A cluster of rare metals, paired with other signs, could be their echo, a trace of craft in the stone. The Earth's archive is vast, its clues subtle, demanding tools sharp enough to pierce time's veil, to see the unnatural in the natural, to hear the whisper of a world that shaped the Earth. The strongest echo of an industrial civilization might be its radioactive shadow, etched in the Earth's crust. Isotopes like cesium or plutonium, born of nuclear fires, linger in rock, air, and water, their decay a bold signature of intent. Unlike natural isotopes, these artificial traces scream of a society that split atoms for power or destruction. A spike in such isotopes could mark their peak, a moment when they touch the stars. These traces, though fleeting in geological time, are unmistakable, enduring for millennia before fading. To find them, we must probe the stone with precision, seeking anomalies nature cannot mimic, a layer rich in radioactive elements, paired with other clues, could be their voice, a testament to a world that harnessed the universe's deepest forces. The Earth holds these secrets, loud yet fragile, waiting for us to read them, to recognize the hand of a mind in the chaos of time's endless scroll. The Earth is a master of disguise, its processes weaving patterns that mimic a civilization's mark. A spike in carbon might speak of industry, or a volcano's fiery breath. Metals, clustered in rock, could hint at forges, or a meteor's cosmic scatter. Synthetic compounds might be crafted, or born of some unknown natural alchemy. The danger lies in seeing intent where none exists, mistaking nature's chaos for the work of minds. Each anomaly demands scrutiny, a question of whether it fits the Earth's usual song or sings of something more. A carbon shift, a trace of isotopes, must be weighed against nature's tricks, volcanic surges, or oceanic shifts. To find a civilization, we must tread carefully, seeking patterns that align with purpose, not chance. The Earth buries both nature and artifice in the same stone, challenging us to discern the hand of intelligence in a world that speaks in riddles. A single anomaly is not enough. We need patterns that repeat: a chorus in the rock, a carbon spike, a metal cluster must align with other signs, synthetics, isotopes, to suggest a civilization's touch. Context is key. The rock's age, its place in the Earth's vast record, its story of wind and water. Nature can mimic intent, but repetition betrays purpose. Anomalies consistent across layers, across regions. A civilization's mark might be a suite of clues: carbon shifts paired with synthetic molecules, metal clusters alongside isotopic scars. Without this, we risk misreading, seeing chance where intent lies. To find a lost people, we must map these patterns, seek repetitions that defy nature's chaos. The Earth's book is vast, its clues subtle, demanding careful reading to see the shape of a civilization's shadow in the stone. Chemical anomalies, the faint whispers of a lost civilization, often go unseen, buried in the Earth's vast story. Without a framework to seek minds in deep time, we might dismiss carbon spikes, synthetic layers, as volcanic or cosmic quirks. Our tools hunt life, not thought, mapping ecosystems, not cultures. A civilization's mark might be cataloged as natural, its clues overlooked for lack of the right questions. A layer rich in isotopes, a trace of crafted molecules, could tell a story we've never sought. To find them, we must shift our gaze, build new lenses to see the unnatural in the stone. The Earth hides its secrets tightly, and only bold curiosity, guided by a new frame of thought, can uncover the whispers of a world that might have been, lost in the silence of time. Imagine a world where humanity fades, our voices silenced, our cities left to whisper alone. In the first 100 years, the Earth begins its gentle reclamation. Skyscrapers, once gleaming, bow under the weight of time. Rain seeps into cracks, rust eats at steel. Vines creep over concrete, cloaking our works in green. Roads fracture, weeds bursting through asphalt, claiming paths we walked. Glass shatters in forgotten windows, scattering light like broken dreams. Nature, patient and relentless, moves in, birds nesting in abandoned towers, moss softening stone. The air grows clearer, smog fading as factories fall silent. Rivers, once choked, run free, washing away our debris. Yet, traces linger, plastic bags drift in winds, metal frames stand defiant. Though weakened, our cities, so proud, begin to crumble, their edges softened, their stories blurred. The Earth does not pause. It breathes anew, weaving life over our ruins. In a mere century, our presence dims, a fleeting mark in the planet's vast tale, waiting for time to erase us further. 1,000 years pass, and nature has claimed its dominion. Cities, once vibrant, are now ghosts, swallowed by forests, buried under dunes, or drowned by rising seas. Concrete crumbles to dust, steel rusts to flakes, scattered by wind and rain. Skyscrapers, their skeletons broken, collapse into heaps, overgrown by vines and trees. Roads vanish, their paths lost beneath layers of soil, their purpose forgotten. Bridges, once spanning rivers, sag and fall, their stones reclaimed by currents. Animals roam where streets once hummed, their footprints marking new trails. Plastic, stubborn and enduring, litters the landscape. Though cracked and faded, satellites, drifting in silent orbits, begin to falter, their signals long gone. The Earth, ever restless, reshapes its surface, burying our works under sediment, smoothing the scars we left. Our books, our art, dissolve in time's embrace, paper rotting, ink fading. Yet, faint echoes remain, a concrete slab, a rusted beam, whispering of a people who once thrived. Nature's triumph is nearly complete. Our cities now memories, their outlines blurred in the earth's ceaseless dance. 10,000 years after our fall, the earth has nearly forgotten us. Cities are gone, their foundations ground to dust or buried deep beneath layers of new earth. Forests have spread, deserts have shifted, rivers have carved new paths, erasing our grids and lines. The mightiest structures, pyramids or dams, stand as weathered relics, their shapes softened, their purposes lost. Concrete dissolves, steel vanishes, glass returns to sand. Only the hardiest materials, stone or rare metals, linger in fragments, scattered across landscapes reborn. Satellites have fallen, their orbits decayed, their remains burned or lost in the void. Plastic, though enduring, breaks into microscopic grains, blending into soil and sea. The air, once heavy with our smoke, breathes clean, its chemistry restored. Fossils of our time, rare and fleeting, might form in perfect conditions, but most of our works are gone, dissolved by time's patient hand. The Earth's surface, reshaped by wind and water, bears little trace of our story, only faint shadows in the rock, waiting for eyes that may never see. A million years hence, humanity's mark is a whisper in the Earth's deep song. Cities, roads, and monuments are gone, ground to dust, melted in the planet's fiery heart, or buried under oceans of stone. The Earth's restless crust, shifting and churning, has erased our works, leaving only chemical ghosts. Sediments, layered thick, hide any remnants, transforming them into smears of altered rock. Plastic, once ubiquitous, is now mere molecules, scattered in ancient strata. Metals, rusted and dissolved, leave faint traces, anomalies in the stone. The air, long cleansed, holds no memory of our fires. Even our grandest creations, dams or pyramids, are reduced to nothing, their forms lost to erosion, subduction, or time's unyielding grind. The earth, ever remaking itself, buries our story deep, its layers a book few could read. Only chemical echoes, shifts in carbon or nitrogen, might linger in the rock, a subtle hint of our presence. Humanity, once bold, is now a shadow, a faint ripple in the planet's vast, indifferent sea, waiting for a curious mind to notice. Humanity's hand lingers in the Earth's chemistry, etched in ways both bold and subtle. Plastics, our synthetic legacy, choke oceans and soils, their fragments enduring for millennia, perhaps millions of years. These unnatural molecules, born of our ingenuity, might form a layer in the rock, a marker of our time. Nitrogen, poured into rivers from our fertilizers, shifts the planet's balance, leaving traces in ancient sediments. Carbon dioxide, released by our fires, alters the air's ancient breath. its isotopic signature a scar in ice or stone. These chemical footprints, though faint, could outlast our cities, whispering of a people who reshaped the world. Yet, time dilutes even these as oceans and winds rework the Earth's surface. In deep strata, a spike in carbon or nitrogen might endure, a puzzle for future eyes. Our presence, so loud in its day, becomes a quiet anomaly, a chemical echo in the planet's vast archive, waiting to be read by those who know to look. Our technological relics, though fleeting, might leave faint scars in the Earth's deep record. Concrete, the bones of our cities, crumbles swiftly, yet its chemical signature, a blend of calcium and silica, could linger in sediments, a fossil of our urban age. Alloys, forged in our furnaces, scatter as fragments, their unnatural blends of metals hinting at our craft. Gold, platinum, or steel, concentrated in strange clusters, might mark our industry, enduring where softer materials fail. Coal ash, the dust of our fires, settles in layers, its carbon-rich grains a testament to our energy. These technofossils could survive in rare conditions, buried in stable strata, preserved from the Earth's churn. Yet, time is relentless, grinding even these to dust, dissolving them in water's flow. A concrete slab, a rusted beam, might become a faint anomaly, a whisper of our hands in the rock. The Earth, ever remaking itself, buries these traces, but they might endure, a subtle echo of our making, waiting for discovery. The loudest echo of our time is the radioactive shadow of our nuclear age. Isotopes like cesium and plutonium, born in the fires of our tests, linger in soil, air, and rock. Their decay, slow and steady, marks our presence with a clarity nature cannot mimic. These artificial traces, scattered by explosions, settle in sediments, a bold signature of our power. For tens of thousands of years, they might endure, a spike in the geological record, screaming of a people who split the atom. Yet, even these fade, their half-lives ticking away, their signal softening in deep time. In a million years, they might be faint, a whisper in the stone, yet unmistakable to those who seek. This radioactive scar, our most enduring mark, tells of a civilization that touched the stars, however briefly, leaving a legacy etched in the Earth's deep heart. If humanity's mark fades so swiftly, how much harder to find a civilization lost to millions of years. Our cities, our tools, dissolve in time's gentle tide, leaving only chemical whispers in the rock. A civilization before us, equally bold, would face the same fate. Their works ground to dust, buried by sediment, or melted in the Earth's fiery core. Their bones, their structures, might vanish, erased by erosion, subduction, or decay. Even their grandest monuments, if built of stone or metal, would crumble, their forms blurred by the planet's restless churn. If we, with our towering cities and global reach, leave so little, what hope for a people millions of years gone? Their traces might be fainter still, a subtle shift in isotopes, a layer of odd minerals, easily missed by eyes untrained to see. The Earth's indifference is a lesson, its erasure a challenge. To find an ancient civilization, we must seek beyond ruins, beyond fossils, into the fleeting echoes of their existence. hidden in the stone's silent song. The search for ancient civilizations demands a new gaze, one fixed not on ruins, but on the Earth's chemical heart. Our own traces, plastics, isotopes, alloys, suggest what to seek. Anomalies in the rock, patterns that defy nature's chaos. A civilization's mark might be a spike in carbon, a trace of synthetic molecules, a cluster of rare metals. Buried in ancient strata, structures crumble, fossils fade, but chemistry endures, a whisper of intent in the Earth's deep archive. Yet, the challenge is vast. Nature mimics such signs. Volcanoes, meteors, oceans weaving similar patterns. To find a lost people, we must hunt for repetitions, for anomalies aligned across layers, across time. The Earth's record is a puzzle, its clues subtle, demanding tools sharp enough to pierce time's veil. We must learn to read the stone, to see the unnatural in the natural, to hear the faint echo of a world that might have been, hidden in the planet's ceaseless dance. Across cultures, tales of great floods whisper through time, stories of waters swallowing lands, reshaping worlds. These myths, woven into the fabric of human memory, might echo a truth from deep time. As the last ice age waned, some 10,000 years ago, glaciers melted, seas rose, drowning coasts where people once thrived, villages vanished beneath waves, their stories carried forward in songs and whispers. From the Sumerian deluge to the biblical ark, from indigenous tales of swollen rivers to Pacific legends of submerged islands, flood myths paint a shared memory. Could these be faint echoes of real cataclysms, of lands lost to the sea's relentless creep? The Earth, reshaping itself, buried those places, leaving only stories to mark their passing. These tales, passed through generations, blend truth with wonder, their details softened by time's gentle hand. Yet, their persistence speaks of something real, a collective memory of a world changed forever. To hear them is to touch the past, to feel the pulse of a time when waters rose, and humanity held fast to the stories of what was lost. Tales of sunken lands, of continents vanishing beneath the sea, ripple through human lore. Atlantis, whispered by Plato, a fabled realm swallowed by waves, lingers in our dreams. May, Lemuria, other lost worlds, echo in stories from distant shores, their names shifting but their essence shared. These legends might hold grains of truth, memories of coasts drowned when ice turned to water, when seas claimed fields and homes. 10,000 years ago, the Earth's surface shifted, lowlands flooded, islands sank beneath the tide. A people's heartland, vibrant with life, could have vanished, leaving only tales carried by survivors. These stories, passed down through fireside chants, blend fact with fantasy, their edges blurred by centuries. Yet, their roots might lie in real loss, in places now hidden beneath ocean depths. The Earth, ever remaking itself, buries such lands, but human memory clings to their shadow. To listen to these legends is to hear a distant echo, a whisper of a world that slipped beneath the waves, preserved in the fragile threads of story. Oral tradition, the heartbeat of human memory, carries stories across millennia, defying time's erasure. Before writing, tales were sung, spoken, woven into rituals, passed from elder to child under starlit skies. These stories of floods, lost lands, or ancient heroes could hold fragments of truth, memories of events long past. A culture's voice, vibrant and alive, might preserve the echo of a world reshaped, of a people who faced the sea's rise or the earth's upheaval. Though details fade, twisted by time's gentle hand, the core endures, a spark of history in myth's embrace. Tales told for thousands of years, like those of the Australian Dreamtime or the epic sagas of Mesopotamia, show memory's strength. They bind us to the past, to moments when the world changed, and humanity sang its survival. These oral threads, fragile yet enduring, might carry the whisper of a civilization lost, a clue to a time before our own, hidden in the cadence of story. Across cultures, tales of a golden age, a time of harmony before a great fall, shimmer in human memory. Eden, the age of Satya, the dream time. These stories paint a world of peace, of wisdom, before darkness or chaos descended. Could these be echoes of a real past, a civilization that thrived, then faded, leaving only whispers in our myths? Perhaps they speak of a time when knowledge bloomed, when societies built wonders only to see them crumble under flood, fire, or time's relentless march. These tales, softened by centuries, blend truth with longing, a memory of something great now lost. The earth, reshaping itself, might have buried their cities, their tools, their dreams, leaving only stories to mark their passing. Yet, the persistence of these golden age myths, shared across distant lands, suggests a shared human heart, a yearning for a time when we were more. To hear these tales is to touch a distant truth, to feel the weight of a world that might have been, preserved in the fragile weave of story. Myths of machines, of weapons that shook the earth, of cities floating among clouds, dance in ancient tales. The Vimanas of Indian lore, flying chariots of fire, or the mechanized wonders of lost Atlantis, spark our imagination. Could these be distorted memories of a civilization's technology? Their marvels twisted by time into magic. A society advanced in ways unlike our own might have built machines, harnessed energies, or raised structures we can scarcely fathom. Their tools, perhaps not of metal but of organic craft, would decay, leaving only stories to hint at their genius. These images of skybound cities or earth-shaking power might be shadows of a real past, their details blurred by millennia of retelling. The earth, in its ceaseless churn, would erase their works, but human memory clings to their echo, weaving them into tales of wonder. To seek such a civilization, we must listen to these stories, hear the truth beneath their poetry, and imagine a world where legends, though rich with meaning, lack the sharp edges of history. They drift through time, their details softened, their timelines blurred by the retelling. A tale of a lost city, a great flood, or a golden age might hold a kernel of truth, but its place in time slips away, unmoored from dates or eras. Was it 10,000 years ago? Or 100,000? When seas rose or land sank, the oral tradition, vibrant and alive, weaves stories that resonate, yet offers no map to pinpoint their origin. A civilization's memory, carried in song or myth, might endure, but its specifics fade, twisted by generations into shapes unrecognizable. The earth, Burying the past leaves these tales as our only guide, fragile and fleeting. To seek a lost people through legends alone is to chase shadows, their forms beautiful but vague, their truths hidden in the haze of time's endless drift. Yet, in the blur of legends, a pattern emerges, a shared song across distant lands, flood myths, tales of lost continents, stories of golden ages echo from Mesopotamia to the Americas, from Pacific islands to ancient India. This convergence, this harmony of themes, suggests a deeper truth, a collective memory of events that shaped humanity's past. Could these be faint echoes of a civilization lost, their story fragmented yet preserved in the weave of human lore? The similarities, though vague, hint at shared experiences, perhaps of rising seas, vanishing lands, or a people who fell. The earth hides their traces, but myths carry their shadow, a whisper of a world before our own. To find them, we must listen to these shared songs, seek the truth in their patterns, and imagine a history that binds us all, hidden in the stories we still tell. Satur, Nhong bao kao gai tran kai ve vat thekim loai trong thanja. There are whispers that come to us from deep seams of the earth, where black coal has slept for millions of years, pressed by time into quiet stone, and in that stillness, some say strange objects have been found. Small pieces of metal, gears, or fragments that seem to bear the touch of a hand, and yet they lie cradled inside the body of a rock older than any known civilization, as if the earth itself were hiding a secret. Stories drift through dusty mining towns of workers splitting coal only to glimpse the shine of iron, the curve of something crafted, a nail without a carpenter, a shape without a maker. And in those moments, a hush spreads through the mine. For what can it mean when human-like work appears in layers born long before humanity? The reports are fragile things, passed from memory to memory, sometimes written in yellowed newspapers, sometimes carried only by rumor, and the line between discovery and imagination blurs like fog on a distant horizon. Yet they linger because they invite wonder, because they suggest that history may not be a straight line but a tangled river that hides forgotten branches. Scientists remind us that coal can trap many things, that cracks and minerals can mimic patterns. That chance often paints shapes we long to recognize. But even with such caution, the tales hold a quiet power, a dream that somewhere in the dark are relics of a story untold. When we listen to these accounts, it is less about proving or denying, and more about feeling the weight of curiosity, the way a spark of mystery can light the mind, making us question what we know of time, of origins, of ourselves. In the coal, we see not only fuel, but a mirror for our hunger to understand. And whether true or mistaken, these reports remind us that even the most ordinary stone can hold the possibility of wonder. Among the most often whispered anomalies are the small spheres said to have been uncovered in South Africa, smooth and round, some with delicate grooves circling their bodies, resting in mineral layers thought to be billions of years old, older than any creature that could have crafted them. They were called the Klerksdorp spheres, and for many they carried the shimmer of a riddle, little orbs that seemed too perfect, too deliberate, to be born only of chance. In dim museum cases they glowed with mystery, and those who gazed at them often felt as if they were staring into a message from before the dawn of humanity. Geologists offered careful voices, saying that the spheres were likely formed by natural processes. The slow rolling of mineral nodules shaped under immense pressure, iron pyrite and other compounds crystallizing into order, their grooves etched by layers of rock and time. Nature, after all, has infinite patience and infinite imagination, and what seems like design may be nothing more than the quiet art of the earth itself. The explanation is simple, yet not everyone feels satisfied. For simplicity does not always quiet the human heart. The South African spheres remain a symbol, balanced between wonder and explanation, between the poetry of the unknown and the clarity of science. They remind us that beauty can arise without intention, that perfection can be born of blind forces, and yet at the same time they remind us of how strongly we yearn for signs of ancient stories, for proof that we are not the first to dream and to build. Whether natural or mysterious, the spheres continue to roll through our imagination, polished by curiosity, like river stones in the current of time. When we look at these tales of metal in stone or spheres in ancient rock, we are not only looking at objects, we are looking at ourselves, at the way the human spirit longs for a deeper past, for a history that stretches farther back than textbooks allow. There is a hunger to believe that we are connected to mysteries far older than our bones, that perhaps civilizations rose and vanished before us, leaving only faint shadows in stone. This hunger is not born only of curiosity, but of a desire for belonging, to feel that we are part of a grand story that began long before we learned to write our names in dust. The objects, whether real anomalies or misread signs of nature, act as mirrors. Reflecting our imagination, they carry us into dreams of hidden chapters, lost knowledge, forgotten builders who may have walked beneath ancient skies. And though science asks us to be cautious, to remember that extraordinary claims need extraordinary proof, still the heart listens to whispers in stone. Still the heart wonders if perhaps we are not the first to search for meaning in the stars above and the earth beneath. In the end, these stories matter not because they are proven, but because they awaken something tender in us, a yearning that science alone cannot silence. They remind us that wonder itself is part of our heritage, that every mystery, whether solved or unsolved, enriches the tapestry of our journey. The quest for deeper history is in truth a quest for ourselves, for the part of us that wishes to know that time is vast, and that we are travelers on a river that began long before we opened our eyes. Long before metal, long before writing, there was stone, and in the hands of early humans, stone became story. Stone became survival. Across deserts and river valleys, in caves and fields, we find chipped edges, flaked surfaces, the patient marks of ancient fingers turning rough rock into tools of life. These stone tools stretch across millions of years, enduring far longer than the flesh that once gripped them, longer than the fire that once warmed their makers. Each one is a silent witness, small and simple, yet carrying the weight of continuity, proof that culture is as enduring as stone itself. Some tools are sharp flakes, shaped for cutting meat or scraping hide. Others are hand axes heavy with the memory of hunt and harvest. Still others are delicate points designed for arrows or spears, carrying the echo of pursuit under open skies. They are not ornate. They do not shine, yet they are treasures, because they show us that the human mind has always been restless, always inventive, always seeking ways to bend the world toward survival. To hold one is to feel the pulse of ancestors, the rhythm of lives lived close to the earth. These tools speak of persistence, of how culture is not built in grand leaps, but in steady hands, repeating simple acts over ages. They tell us that before language carried thought across distance, Before stories were written in ink, there were gestures passed down, techniques taught by firelight, knowledge engraved not in books but in memory and practice. The durability of stone has preserved these traces, allowing us to touch a past that would otherwise be forgotten. And as we marvel at them, we realize that in their simplicity lies a profound truth. Culture endures not through monuments, but through the small, humble acts of survival repeated across countless generations. Yet as we wander through fields of stone, the line between artifact and accident grows thin. For the earth too can shape edges, can fracture rocks in ways that resemble intent. A river can chip pebbles into sharpness. Frost can split stones into flakes. Pressure can carve patterns that seem deliberate. Archaeologists must look carefully, weighing the rhythm of strikes, the angle of flaking, the presence of repetition, to decide if a shard was held by human hand or born only of chance. It is a delicate work, part science, part intuition, a dialogue between patience and imagination. This difficulty reminds us how easily we project meaning onto the world, how the mind yearns to see purpose, to trace design even where none may exist. We walk through a stony plain and wonder which fragments are echoes of ancestors, and which are only the play of wind and water. Sometimes the decision rests on the smallest detail, a pattern too precise to be random, a wear mark that suggests use, and from that single clue, a whole story may bloom. Of hunters, of families, of survival by firelight. Other times the evidence resists, and we are left in ambiguity, in the shadowland between nature and culture. But perhaps that ambiguity is itself a gift, for it keeps alive our attention. It keeps us searching. To hold a stone and not know whether it is a tool or not is to stand on the threshold of mystery, to feel the presence of both the earth's creativity and our own. In that uncertainty, we learn humility, remembering that the past does not give itself easily, that it must be approached with patience, with care, with the willingness to accept both answers and silence. And so even the stones that resist clear classification carry value, for they remind us that discovery is not always about certainty, but about learning to see the world with eyes that stay open. Among the folds of the earth are strange shapes, rings of stone, walls of rock, layers twisted in ways that spark the imagination. Some see in them the traces of forgotten builders, foundations of cities lost to time, monuments weathered into near invisibility. To walk among such formations is to feel suspended between geology and memory, between the blind work of tectonic forces and the deliberate hand of design. These anomalies invite questions. They open doors in the mind. They whisper of possibilities not yet proven. Geologists remind us that stone bends under pressure, that mountains rise and crumble, that rivers carve patterns that mimic architecture. Yet even so, the human heart resists easy answers, for the shapes of walls and roads awaken deep instincts, the yearning to connect with stories older than record. Each anomaly becomes a seed of curiosity, drawing explorers, dreamers, and scientists alike, each searching with their own light. Some carry instruments, others carry imagination, all seeking to find in the patterns of stone a clue to who we are. These anomalies matter because they expand the field of wonder. They keep alive the possibility that the past holds more than we know. They remind us that even when an explanation leans toward geology, the act of questioning is itself valuable, for it sharpens our sight and deepens our patience. In the tension between stone and story, we find a fertile ground, a space where discovery can begin. In the quiet halls of science, The first step is always caution. The first rule is to seek natural causes. When faced with a strange stone, a metallic glimmer, or a curious pattern, the scientist looks first to geology, to chemistry, to the patient processes of the earth. This is not dismissal, but discipline, a way of grounding wonder in evidence, ensuring that dreams do not outrun the truth. The natural explanation is not meant to silence imagination, but to give it foundation, to prevent it from floating away untethered. There is wisdom in this restraint, for history is filled with examples where anomalies turned out to be tricks of light, coincidences of erosion, artifacts of chance. To leap too quickly to extraordinary conclusions is to risk building castles on sand. And yet science does not deny mystery. It only asks that mystery be tested, weighed, and understood. In doing so, it protects curiosity from dissolving into fantasy, while still allowing it to thrive. For those who love wonder, this may feel disappointing, yet it is also liberating. For when science confirms an anomaly is real, we can trust it. We can lean into it with both awe and confidence. The discipline of natural explanation does not diminish the beauty of discovery. It enriches it, ensuring that what we hold as true can stand the test of time. And so we return to curiosity, the gentle flame that drives both dreamers and scientists alike. Without it, we would never look twice at a sphere in stone, never wonder at a pattern in rock, never ask if there might be more to history than we know. Curiosity is the thread that ties us to the unknown, that keeps our eyes open in the dark. But curiosity alone is not enough. It must be joined with patience, with the willingness to look again and again, to wait for evidence, to accept silence when answers do not come swiftly. Patience transforms curiosity into discovery, for the earth does not reveal her secrets easily. Fossils hide for eons, artifacts lie buried, patterns emerge only under careful study. The ones who find are those who return, who search slowly, who endure doubt and still continue. In this sense, every anomaly is a teacher, reminding us that knowledge is not won quickly, but gathered grain by grain, like sand forming a shore. The balance of curiosity and patience is the heart of exploration. It allows us to dream of lost civilizations while still respecting the truth of stone. It invites us to see the world not as solved, but as alive with possibility. And in that balance, we find not only the promise of discovery, but the quiet joy of the journey itself, the sense that to seek is already to belong to the story of the universe. The earth is an old storyteller, but one who forgets most of what she has seen. Mountains rise and fall, oceans open and close, forests burn and grow again, and in that endless rhythm almost all traces of what once lived are swept away. Bones crumble, wood rots, stone erodes, and only in the rarest of circumstances does a fragment remain. Pressed into fossil or preserved in mineral, our planet is a master of renewal. But in that renewal lies erasure, the wiping clean of chapters so that new ones can be written on the same page. What survives is not the whole book, but scattered pieces, broken letters, half-finished sentences. When we look to the ground for signs of the past, we must remember how selective memory is, how vast spans of time dissolve into silence. A single tool, a single bone, a single grain of pollen can be all that is left to tell the story of entire ages. It humbles us, this awareness that what we call history is but a shadow, that beneath our feet lie layers upon layers of vanished worlds. To imagine what has been lost is to stand in awe before the power of time. a tide that carries away nearly everything, leaving only the rarest shells glistening on the shore. It is not unreasonable to wonder if civilizations once walked this earth before us. Time is so vast, and the gaps in the record so wide, that the question slips easily into the mind. If mountains can crumble to dust in a blink of geological time, why could not the works of builders also be ground away, swallowed by ocean or buried under lava? A city of stone left unprotected would vanish in tens of thousands of years, a heartbeat compared to the millions that stretch behind us. The thought is tempting, and it carries a quiet romance that perhaps others once dreamed under the same stars we now gaze upon. Yet when we search for evidence, the trail grows thin. What we hold are whispers, not certainties, patterns in stone that might be walls but might be natural, objects that seem crafted but dissolve under closer study, legends that carry the echo of forgotten times but cannot be tested against rock and bone. Science asks us to be careful, to distinguish between longing and proof. And so we stand in a space between, open to wonder yet cautious with belief. The idea of ancient civilizations is not foolish, but the evidence we have is fragile. A handful of threads that could unravel in the light. What remains is possibility, and sometimes the possibility itself is enough to expand the horizon of our imagination. To ask whether others came before us is to reflect on the nature of intelligence itself. We see our cities, our machines, our networks of thought, and we imagine them permanent. But when measured against deep time, they are fragile as dew. If civilizations rose and fell before, then wisdom is not a mountain but a wave, rising briefly, cresting, then fading back into the sea. The question humbles us, reminding us that our own brilliance may be temporary, that the mind is not immune to the great eraser of time. This humility changes how we look at ourselves. It softens pride and replaces it with gratitude. We see our knowledge not as the pinnacle, but as one branch in a forest of possibilities. Some perhaps cut down long ago, others yet to grow. The act of questioning allows us to step outside the illusion of permanence, to hold intelligence not as possession, but as a fleeting gift. And in that awareness, we learn to value it more, to cherish the fragile flame while it burns. If others lived and dreamed before us, then we are not unique. But neither are we alone. The thought does not diminish us. It expands us. To imagine lost civilizations is to imagine kinship. Strangers across ages, linked by the same drive to create, to build, to seek meaning. Our place in the cosmos shifts from solitary peak to shared path, from singular miracle to recurring possibility. This shift can bring comfort. It tells us that intelligence is not an accident so rare that it flickers once and never again, but perhaps a pattern that reappears when conditions allow. It ties us more deeply to the universe, for what has happened once may happen again. The stars above us may hold worlds where others now walk their own short, bright paths, just as we do. In knowing we may not be the first, we also know we are part of a lineage of seekers, bound by curiosity that stretches across both time and space. Even if no stone, no tool, no city remains, the greatest gift of these questions is the idea itself, the suggestion that others might have been, for ideas shape us as surely as evidence. They open our imagination. They teach us humility. They remind us that the world is vaster than the maps we hold. To consider forgotten civilizations is to learn that absence does not always mean emptiness, that silence can still echo with possibility. This possibility becomes a kind of inheritance, We inherit not their monuments but their imagined presence, a whisper urging us to see beyond ourselves. It challenges us to think of what we will leave behind, of how our own world might be remembered or forgotten. And in this reflection, we discover that their greatest legacy is not proof, but perspective, a widening of our horizon, a deepening of our reverence for the fragile miracle of thought. The idea of them, whether real or only dreamed, enriches us, for it reminds us that we are not alone in seeking meaning in the vastness of time. Now let the questions rest. You have walked far through the corridors of deep time, through shadows of vanished worlds, through echoes of what might have been. The mind is full of wonder, but the body longs for peace. So lay down your thoughts as you lay down your head, and let the tide of time carry you. Imagine yourself drifting not on water but on centuries, on millennia, on ages unfolding like slow waves around you. Deep time is not a thing to solve. It is a sea to float upon, and you are safe in its embrace. As you breathe, feel the rhythm of earth beneath you. Steady, ancient, patient. All questions, all uncertainties, all mysteries are held gently in its vastness. You do not need to carry them now. You only need to rest. Close your eyes and let the weight of years cradle you. Let the silence of stone and stars seep into you. Sleep comes easily when we know we are part of something larger, when we surrender to the great river that has always flowed and will always flow. Rest now, traveler of time. Behind your closed eyes, the past waits like a hidden garden. Shapes of forgotten cities shimmer, half real, half dream. Voices echo in languages no longer spoken. Footsteps cross landscapes long eroded. You drift among them like a guest moving through memory, knowing that even if they are shadows, they still have meaning. Every dream is a doorway, and tonight the doorway opens to deep time. Perhaps you walk through forests of another age, or touch stones carved by hands that left no record. Perhaps you hear songs carried by winds that have long since stilled. They are waiting for you, not to prove themselves, but simply to remind you that history is vast and welcoming. Let them pass like clouds across your mind, gentle and fleeting, leaving only the calm of knowing that you are part of a continuum that stretches without end. And now, as the night deepens, let yourself slip into sleep as though into a voyage. You are a traveler of time, not bound by years or centuries. Dreams are your vessel, carrying you through forgotten ages, carrying you forward into futures not yet born. You move softly, weightless, embraced by both past and possibility. Rest in that journey. Rest knowing that time is vast, but you belong within it. Rest with the peace of stars watching above, with the earth steady beneath. May your dreams be gentle. May they carry you where you wish to go. May they hold you like the oldest lullaby of stone and sky. Good night, traveler. Good night.